this video, we're going to take you through some advanced recipes. Specifically, we're going to look at some common square foot examples where we'll take a look at an insulation recipe as well as a drywall recipe. Now, to begin, we're going to go ahead and look at an insulation example. So let's go ahead and start by adding a new item, and I'm going to give it a name. Now, obviously, you might have a variety of different sizes that you might use for your insulation purposes, but for today, I'm going to go ahead and say I've got a 24 by 48 inch wall insulation bat. And of course, to build a recipe, I'm going to click this little deck of cards and it'll pop this one open. The recipe unit of measurement today will be square foot. And so the square foot just references the takeoff type that I'm going to do. From here, we're going to add an item, and this is a good example of when you might actually only use a single line for your recipe. But specifically what we're going to be looking at in this example is using the recipe to convert the area takeoff into an orderable number of quantities, i.e. in this example, how many bats of insulation do you need? So I'm just going to go ahead and basically just copy this over. Go ahead and copy this over. And we're going to be looking at each bat, and we're going to give that a price. So let's just go ahead and say that's say $27.66. Now from here, we need to help Build Exact understand exactly how much of this bat goes into the square foot of takeoff. And I want to reference this little picture here. Now, this is what you're going to use for a lot of these advanced recipes, specifically where you're going to you're going to get Build Exact to convert the area takeoff into an orderable number of items. So essentially, the way this works is that it's always 1 over the total quantity that the pack, box, or item can do. So if we go back into here, I'm basically going to pop open this little calculator tool, and there's different ways to basically calculate this. There's obviously no one single way. You might do some of the off of Build Exact and then punch it in, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it all here. So we're basically going to go 1 over, and now we need to find the total area that the bat can do. So again, we're going ahead and we're finding out it's 1 over the total square foot that the bat can cover. So in this case, 2 by 4. So once we've done that, we click equals, and this basically tells me here that I need 0.125 of a bat per square foot of wall. So once I've gone ahead and done my square foot takeoff, which we have a separate video on, basically Build Exact can then go ahead and do the calculation because it knows how much of that bat goes into per square foot. It's going to go ahead and do the calculation and tell us that we need 18.75 bats of insulation. Now, you're probably going to round that up, just given a little bit of wastage and just to help accommodate for that. But again, it's a really easy, effective way to ensure that we can use recipes to help us quote accurately, but also quite quickly. Now, once we're done, we're going to click close, and just like that, it's really just that simple. Now, let's take a look at a second example here. Let's jump down to a drywall example. And again, we're going to start off pretty much exactly the same way here. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name, and this will be, say, 1/2 inch thick, and it'll be, again, 4 by 8. We're going to go ahead and click the little deck of cards. And we're really just following the same principle we went through last time. So let's go ahead and start to add in our items. And again, this is going to be just the same material. So I'll pop that in here. We're going to do, this is going to be per sheet. Go ahead and put that in here. I'll say it's, say, 23.66 as an example. And again, same principle as before. We need to go ahead and basically figure out how much of a sheet goes into 1 square foot. So we'll use the same calculation again. So we're going to go 1 divided by, this time we're going to go ahead and go 4 by 8. And close that off, click equals. And so again, that basically tells me that there's 0.031 of a sheet per square foot. But we're not done here. This is again the really powerful part of recipes where, as we know, when we're putting in drywall, it's not just the sheets, but there's going to be a couple other elements as well here. So let's go ahead and say there's going to be screws. So we'll say it's a 700 pack. And we'll say each pack is going to be, let's just say $30. And then from here, again, this is where you probably break down, well, how many screws are you going to use per pack or per square foot. I know there's roughly about eight-ish or 28 screws per 32 square feet of sheet. So essentially here, we're just going to do a quick little calculation here and say 0.875 divided by the total pack that it can do, so 700. And again, pretty small number there, but again, really helps you be very accurate. Let's go ahead and put some joint compound in there as well. It'll be a 3.5 quart. And we'll just say that there's basically 0.02 of a, oops, 0.02 of a tub. Each tub will be, say, $7.99, and so on and so forth. Again, you could add tape, labor. You could even go so far as add paint, and really as much as you want here. But the idea is always the same. We're always looking at how much of that material goes into 1 square foot. And then again, once we've entered in all of our items and our costs, then we can do our takeoff. Again, in this example, I won't go ahead and do the vertical square foot takeoff. We have a separate video that goes through that. But once we've gone ahead and measured it all out, we can then basically get a full breakdown that based off of the total area, we need about 6.5 sheets. Again, you'll probably round that up, add some wastage. We need 0.21 of a pack of screws, and we need 4.2 tubs of joint compound. And again, you might add a lot more items on, but it's really meant to just give you a bit of an introduction to advanced recipes, specifically around square foot and looking at common examples in insulation and drywall.